Good afternoon, Stephen Howson, Casey.
Afternoon.
It's the first time on a brew for you.
Yeah, first time on the brew.
It's been a minute since you've been in it.
Yeah, I've not been in a couple of weeks. Got uni, got work, stuff like that.
Uni, education,
yeah, busy.
Work. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is the brew. We've got an hour earlier than we normally go because Casey needs to go and touch up some birds.
I work at Nando's for context, but that's well.
Got Doritos stuck in my teeth.
That's a really weird combination of Doritos and a cuppa, to be honest.
I'm fat. Oh, lads, weekend was all right. What did you do? What did you do with your weekend? Roll me through Friday till this moment.
Oh, I had my graduation on Friday from my original uni. Thanks for the clap there, Cam.
You're going for your masters now?
I'm going for my masters in journalism, so that's fun. So I came back from my graduation, didn't watch England, found out they lost on the train. And then I kind of just got home and wasn't sad that I had to watch United lose to someone like Newcastle, which is always great, I gotta admit. What about you?
What did I do on Friday? I feel like I did something Friday. Oh no, had a Chinese.
No.
Which happened again over the weekend, but I'll get into that in a sec. I tried to go to bed early. My idea was go to bed, get a couple of hours in, get up, watch Brendan fight, hopefully win, and go back to bed. Didn't go down like that. Got us a fucking weird level of insomnia. So I stayed up and watched Brendan win instead. Very good fight. Looking forward to speaking to him when he gets back. Should be interesting. Very upset they didn't knock the guy out. Brilliant performance though. Got up Saturday like a fucking kid in a sweet shop. Well excited with going to Old Trafford to watch Salford in the Rugby League Grand Final.
Rare sight nowadays going to Old Trafford excited, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's mad going up. Like none of the swag selling stalls are there. Like there's a weird vibe, a totally weird vibe. I mean, I've probably been to about half a dozen grand finals in the last decade or so. It's a weird thing. You'll see neutrals go. You don't see Wigan fans there. I think Wigan have got that sort of like superiority complex going on because they were the most successful rugby club out there. But you'll see there were sort of Hull fans, Warrington fans, Leeds fans, every other club essentially in there. It was in a supposedly neutral zone. It was fucking 99% Salford. It was great. Salford fucked it in the first 5 minutes, really. Well, first minute.
Yeah.
Put themselves under pressure. Did well to hold off. Was in the fight at half time, second half. Lost it, and that was Saturday afternoon. Had a few beers. And you have a couple of beers, and you're like, probably going to go a bit bananas on a bit of a takeaway now. Well, on Saturday night, I had a Chinese and a pizza.
Chinese and a pizza.
Yeah.
Combination, fusion cuisine.
That went down. I only managed.
Back up again.
It sounds way more impressive than it was. I only managed one slice of the pizza.
Oh god.
It was only a 4-slice pizza.
You got cold pizza then.
Oh no, the timing was fucking impeccable on the order and the deliveries. But yeah, I didn't manage to see Kane Musa fight. I was trying to put a bet on all week, and I wanted an 0-1-6-1 special. Salford to win, Brendan to win, Kane to win. Only one of them won out of the three.
So yeah.
Probably a good that I didn't put it on. I had loads of bets that didn't win on Salford on Saturday. Did you
see that bet that those two lads put on, two men put on? That was like Jackson Hastings to win at Man of Steel, and then Salford to make top 5, and it came together as the guy who was at the William Hill shop put it on as a double, so it was meant to pay out like 27 grand or something like that. But then William Hill have said, we can't pay it out because they directly affect each other, so we'll offer you 1,700 each.
No, they don't directly affect each other.
Well, they were saying
they're totally independent things that can happen.
They're saying that it's apparently directly affected, so they're not going to pay him it out. So apparently he's going to take it to the betting commission, but
fucking right answer. Yeah. Took his money, didn't they?
Yeah, at the moment they're paying it as two separate bets. So
no, I think that's something you could easily combine. You could combine United to get top 4 this season and Rashford to win Player of the Year, couldn't you?
You
could.
I mean, I've never looked into it, to be honest. I'm not
But that's how doubles work. They're two things that they are independent.
I think he was saying that they said that if it was offered as a special, they would have still played it. But then the fact is, it wasn't. So
what a load of bollocks!
Yeah,
what a load of bollocks!
You just know that we're losing money, so they didn't want to pay out.
I mean, what an insightful bet that was. Fair play to him. Jackson winning Man of Steel. It's just something that never happened. Never dreamt of happening. I was doing a little bit of filming for Warrington Rugby League this year. And I remember being on the phones with my dad 3 months ago or something like that, and I was like, if I get the chance, if they say, we've got X number of extra tickets, whatever, do you want to come to the Challenge Cup finals, the one played at Wembley, equivalent to the FA Cup? I'd have gone because I've never been to one. And it's obviously harder to go to Wembley as a neutral than Old Trafford.
I mean, I got the offer to go there. I think I was busy. I wasn't there.
Sitting a bit closer.
Oh yeah, sitting a bit closer. I think I was there. When I was at Wembley for uni, I think I was away that weekend, but we were offered tickets for the uni for that Challenge Cup final. I think it was like St Helens versus someone else.
Yeah, it was St Helens and Warrington.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know what? I've never... my dad's seen us in one cup final.
Yeah.
And that was in 1975. And that was the Floodlit Cup final, which is like an auto windscreens cup, I think. And I was like... I literally said the words, I'm never going to go to a final with Salford, am I? And then 3 months later, we're in a fucking grand final. Outrageous. There's a bitter taste to it now. Welcome to the Salford channel, by the way. There's a bitter taste to it, though, because Jackson Hastings already moved on to Wigan, and the other guy that was nominated for Man of Steel, which is Rugby League's Player of the Year, was Jones, and he's moving on as well. I think he's going Hull. So the basis of what's got us here this year has already been ripped out.
No, it's basically like in football where it's like, a team does really well and it gets absolutely picked apart.
Yeah, when you look at what happened with Ajax,
yeah.
what happened with Leicester, it's just happened at Salford. So I think it's probably because Salford could probably only offer people a 12-month contract, which meant halfway through it, they were free to talk elsewhere and they've agreed a deal elsewhere. So it's a little bit of a shame, but make it an interesting season next season if they're able to come back. Whatever found those players in the first place, if that's still there, can they strike twice and maybe keep hold of them? Let's hope so. Get your questions in, everybody, as well, because we'll be coming to these. Stephen Hughes says, hey, man, followed you back in the old days on Facebook. I remember having a go at Jose, you telling me I was wrong. Change your mind now. No. Jose was right and wrong. Ultimately, Jose wasn't backed and Jose needed time. Neither of those things happened. The same thing, for all the people that have flipped it and gone, Jose should have got more time and all that. Like, the time, for me, I said it's time for him to go the day before he sacked him.
So was I. I mean, like, I was behind Moyes as a manager, I think, right up to the last game he had.
February.
Yeah, I think I was like, I think I pushed it a bit. I think the last game he played, I think up to then I was like, we'll stick with him. We'll see what happens because it's not all going to like fall into place. It's going to be a bit of a downturn. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he gets the players he needs and everything. And then just remember that last game. I was just like, I just can't do it anymore. I just cannot continue to watch United play like
United under Moyes had the component parts of a better team that should have been doing better than they are. You look at this team and you can't go.
Yeah.
You go, all right, some of the results and some of the performances should have been a little better, but not drastically better.
Well, the thing was, when Moyes got appointed, you were looking at his team at Everton, and you were like, that's the sort of team that should be being consistently finishing, like, I think it was it 7th at the time? It was consistently just getting to that.
They got top 4 once, didn't they?
Yeah, no, they were just consistently finishing, and like, he's doing well with the parts he's given, like, he's doing better than expected. So when he gets a team with good things, it should push. But the problem was, he brought that team down to 7th instead of pushing up. And we're like just stop. Like, before it happens, you just need to just swap them out with someone who understands it. Maybe go for a different angle. We did go for a different angle with Van Gaal. Obviously, a man who's been proven to build proper, like, dynasty-level teams like Barcelona, Bayern Munich. Like,
Van Gaal arrived, he'd lost Vidic and Rio.
Yeah.
And that was big. He'd lost Vidic and Rio. I'm trying to think who else had just checked out. Giggs essentially had checked out. Scholes checked out with Fergie. Those players hadn't been replaced. You couldn't replace those 4 probably with 200 mil, but we hadn't even tried.
Yeah.
He signed a couple of players that wanted to work. He was after Sadio Mane. in his third season.
I mean, yeah, look at some of the signings we got linked with. Like, he was after, like, Mane. I think there was some... I
think he might have been after Van Dijk too.
Yeah, I think he was, but I think Van Dijk had a problem with him because of the Dutch national team, where he hadn't picked him for the World Cup the season before, so he wasn't happy. He didn't really feel comfortable being under him, under, like, a normal manager. But, I mean, like, you look at those sort of players, and, like, there was obviously an idea there, and you could see that, yeah, the football wasn't great, and it was painful at times, but you could see...
We were very solid.
But when we were very solid, and when it worked, like, there was that Martial goal where it just got pinged about on a counter-attack, and it was like, when it worked, it was fantastic to watch. But it was just, the fact is that it just needed more, it looked like it needed more personnel. I would have said I wouldn't have sacked him. When he had FA Cup, after that FA Cup final, I wouldn't have sacked him. I would have, I mean, I was struggling to watch it, but at least I had that little glimmer of hope that it was going to get better. With Jose Mourinho, and I still don't fully blame it on Jose, as you said, we hadn't replaced players. Like as much as I can never say anything bad about Ferguson, he knew exactly what he was doing. He was like, he signed Van Persie and he signed that, and he just basically like, this is the last player I need to get the dregs out of the team, and then I need to go because there's no way.
See, I think there's a lot of history revisionism with that team. That team probably wasn't going to win 3 titles on the bounce, Fergie's.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't have come 7th.
No.
And it wasn't a team challenging for 5th. You know, Robin Van Persie was still there. When did he go? Didn't he have a little bit of time with Louis?
I think he left them
before he went to Fenerbahce.
But it was definitely a team reaching the end of its cycle, sort of thing. And that was the thing. Like, there was no one, and the sort of players that he'd picked up to try and replace him had all been like duds. I mean, we saw Gabriel Oberton. I mean, I think I was talking to someone about Gabriel Oberton the other day. I was like, God, I can't remember. I can't believe that he used to play for us. And then Bebe, and it's just some of the players you're like.
Well, that was during Fergie's reign. Fergie. This is where the Glazer pinch really started. If you actually look back, the Ronaldo transfer was such a watershed moment because an ambitious club loses Ronaldo and goes, who's the fucking next Ronaldo? It wasn't Gabriel Obertan or Bebe, as much as everyone wanted. It wasn't Michael Owen on a free, and it wasn't Antonio Valencia. And that was what we pulled in after we lost Cristiano Ronaldo. A real club, a Real Madrid. Now, you might say we resisted Real Madrid for a year. Little fucker had just won a Ballon d'Or. We should have just gone, see that check's blank, put some numbers on it and we'll sign it. Whatever you want. Stay another 4 years. Fuck me. Ronaldo went and scored how many goals? He scored 700 career goals now.
See, the problem is that we didn't need the next Ronaldo. We needed
Ronaldo.
We needed a player who had his output. Now we couldn't have. I mean, like, if Ferguson was going to stay a lot longer, then it might have been okay if he got a player that obviously wasn't.
Sorry, Sol Niguez was someone else as well. 8 million apparently we were trying to get him for.
Oh yeah, I mean apparently when, but then obviously when Moyes turned down, I saw that one the other day. He turned down Thiago because he wasn't personally familiar with the player, even though all the scouts had got the reports, everything was in place. All he needed to do was say he's signed.
And we signed Fellaini because he knew him.
Yeah, exactly. Ultimately. And he was going for.
And I don't think he wanted Mata. I think Woodward was like, "I've signed you one Mata," and he was like, "Oh."
I think Nike were like, we'll give you a lot of money if you sign one man, or we'll give you a bit more sponsorship, or we'll help you sign him. So it was a bit of an interesting one.
The watershed moment of Ronaldo leaving and not being adequately replaced, or even attempted to be adequately replaced, that there should have been the writing on the wall for everyone that these fuckers aren't serious.
Grab to Louis van Gaal slow possession.
Yeah, slow, what's the word, oppressive sort of possession-based football.
To Mourinho claps and then, like a spring, sort of claps and then pace out. It's like, they're 3 completely different styles, and none of the players you can say would easily transition between each one.
None.
So, like Daley Blind, fantastic player, was fantastic under Van Gaal's style of football, could not play Mourinho's football to save his life.
No, and when Mourinho wants someone physical...
Yeah.
He looks at and if it had gone the opposite way round, Ollie might have been happier, because Ollie wants to, I think, play out from the back and play on the floor.
Daley Blind at DM for United now,
or even at centre half.
Even at centre half, it would be fantastic because he'd be the sort of player he wants. He wants someone who can play the ball. And
well, look what he went and did at Ajax alongside what's it face little fucker? What's it called? Forgot his name.
De Ligt.
De Ligt. Yeah.
Yeah, De Ligt, Frankie De Jong, Donny Van der Beek, apparently a player that we were looking to sign this window, and we didn't sign even though he was offered to us for 35 million. I saw a report of that. Is I just don't understand.
And this is my issue, is that there's been so many different philosophies. Fergie wasn't just a coach. You could hardly say he probably wasn't even a coach. Rennie was the coach. Mike Phelan were the coaches, allegedly. When was the last time Mike Phelan was on the bench, by the way? Because I don't think he's been on the bench, has he?
I haven't seen him.
I think Mike Phelan might be doing more of a director of football kind of thing. But when you see, they were the coaches. Fergie was the director of football who gave team talks. Like, there was such a different dynamic under Fergie. He had the academy direction. He had the authority to pick and choose transfers. Someone told me, who was we offered? We was offered somebody for... We was offered someone in 2012 as a striker, and Fergie went, no, I want Robin Van... Who the fuck was it? Commenters, can anyone remember who it was? Someone remember who it was and get it in there. We wanted somebody instead of Van Persie, and Fergie spat his dummy out. There's a story, David Gill sort of is the one that's come out of it and said, no, actually, he wanted him, and he pushed for him, and we didn't think the money was right, and they eventually went with Van Persie, and that's the power Fergie had, was to overrule the board at the time and go, fuck you, get me what I've asked for.
I mean, its difference was that if you have a disagreement with a manager now, you can go, oh, you won't play, you won't thingy, but there's no power there. With Ferguson, it was like if you went against Ferguson, it was like, yeah, no, you're not here anymore, you're out, like, we're selling you. Don't matter what the board says, don't matter if the board thinks you're the most prolific player in our club, thinks you're the most profitable sponsorship, don't matter if your teammates think that you are a massive part of the dressing room, you've crossed me, you're out the door. Like,
no, it wasn't Lewandowski. Lewandowski wasn't offered to us.
Because he was at Blackburn. He was going to Blackburn.
That was 2011.
That was 2011. He was going to go to Blackburn and he ended up at Dortmund.
We might have wanted Lewandowski, but I don't think we was offered. No, it was someone inferior and cheaper than Robin Van Persie and younger. I can't remember who it was. And it's someone who's not done what Lewandowski's done in the last few years.
It's not Angelo Henriquez, is it? Do you remember when we signed Angelo Henriquez?
Yeah, fuck me, who was it? Yeah, no, there's a lot of you just commented Lewandowski. No. It wasn't Lewandowski. It was someone...
I don't think it's asking.
It wasn't someone on that fucking level, because that wouldn't have probably been a good decision, ultimately, when you consider that Lewandowski is still absolutely banging.
At the time, like, he was only a young striker for late Poznan. Like, I mean, it could be... I'm not saying I'm sure of it, but it would fit with this sort of thing. I mean...
Gaetan. Was it Gaetan?
Gaetan.
No, I think it's someone who's just had a fucking horrific injury record since... I'm going to fucking remember it. Someone else has commented Gaetan. Cavani's also been commented. I can't remember. Sorry, lads. But yeah, like there was somebody else that the board was sort of leaning towards, like, oh, why don't we get this guy? And he was like, no, I want Robin Van Persie. And Robin Van Persie was who he got, and whether ultimately was useful for essentially 1.5 seasons for us, it served a purpose.
Yeah, I mean, he did what he came.
Defoe.
Yeah. He did what he came in to do, which was score a lot of goals and be clinical. He was clinical at he had a terrible injury record, which luckily we didn't get the brunt of when we needed it.
Binky Ferrari says he was offered to United and Ferguson. So yeah, it wasn't him that they tried to persuade United to go for instead of Van Persie. There was someone instead of Van Persie. I can't remember who the fuck it was now. Yeah, there's
so many names getting thrown around. I mean, Roque Santa Cruz,
yeah.
Charlie Adam, James Rodriguez. I don't think it's any of that.
Yeah, I can't remember who the fuck it was now. It's doing my nuts in. We were offered Lucas Moura prior to him going PSG, I believe.
Well, apparently
that was under Moyes.
Apparently, we kept putting money in for Lucas. I remember at the time we kept putting in money for Lucas Moura, and then PSG kept up because they just got the money from Qatar, and they just kept up bidding us. And then every time they're like, "Oh, they came back to us," and then I think it was just at the end we went, "No, that's just too much money." And I think they bought him for 45 million in the end.
Tom says, what is Fergie's role now? What does he do? I think he's just got a pure honorary director role now. He probably has an opinion at board meetings. And if you're being real, do you think fucking Mike Phelan and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ricky Lambert, were top of Ed Woodward's list? Absolutely not. That was such a... You have to get closer. You're going to be well.
Sorry. I feel like he has an opinion, and I feel like he has a sway in sort of what he says, but I don't feel like he has like his word is law anymore.
No, I actually think that Pogba signing was a power move by Woodward. I think that everything around it, the commercial activity around it, the music video release of him, the world record fee, all that sort of shit, I think that was so in boardrooms, when Fergie goes to Woodward, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. He goes, oh yeah, you just cost us 90 million because you let that guy go and I had to bring him back. Now, whether right or wrong, whichever side you line up on that one, whether you think bringing Pogba back was a good idea or not a good idea, that, I believe, is the sort of power play that happens with egotistical dudes in boardrooms. And look, for everything that Fergie did, Fergie had a fucking ego and a half on him. He binned off Roy Keane, Jaap Stam and fucking David Beckham, potentially over fucking personal disputes.
And Rue van Nistelrooy as well.
Yeah, although I think that was probably correct. Yeah. But ultimately, this is a guy that, if you read his book, he says, when someone thinks that they're getting too big for the manager, they fucking go. The manager has to be the ultimate voice at a club. Well, the manager is not the fucking ultimate voice at our club right now. Even when Jose Mourinho was here, Jose Mourinho had to go cap in hand to Ed Woodward. You know, and I don't think David... And I think Fergie's shadow, and it's a big old shadow, I think it casts a fucking long shadow over everybody. I remember my dad saying it for the longest time. All of those managers that followed on from Matt Busby prior to Alex Ferguson, excuse me, they all lived in the shadow of Matt Busby. And it was only Ron Atkinson who came once. So Matt resigned, actually. Retired is a lot more pleasanter than a resigning. Matt was the president of the club, the role that Martin Edwards currently has. Which is an honorary thing, but you got a desk. You got a seat at every match day. You'd still have a seat if you're still alive to this day, I'm sure. But Matt Busby thought paying £1 million for a player... for Brian Robson, and what a fucking absolute hero he turned out to be. £1 million fucking disgrace, and he resigned in disgust. Like, I'd love to hear his thoughts on the way the game's gone since. Like, there's a good story. Who the fuck told me this? My granddad told me this one. Dennis Law. You know, a lot of fans, modern fans, think he relegated us and, you know, have opinions on the fact that he went and played for City. When Dennis Law left United, he had to still make a living as a footballer. He lived in Manchester. I'll go and play for City instead. United didn't want him. It wasn't that he was like, I'm going to go play for City, see in a bit. United said, we don't want you anymore. So he was like, okay, well, who does? And he went to City. And ultimately he scored a back heel on the last day of the season. United was already relegated, but City fans like to say Dennis Law relegated United. Didn't happen. He was already down, regardless of whatever happened in that game. Dennis Law at some point... Dennis Law won a Ballon d'Or as well, which comes with its own little weight, I guess. Jimmy Murphy, Dennis Law. Jimmy Murphy comes up to Matt Busby and goes, just been having a chat with Dennis. Says if you don't give him a pay rise, he's off up the road. Apparently Matt Busby didn't even look up from his paper and went, well, he'll be off up the fucking road then, won't he? So Jimmy Murphy goes back to tell Dennis Law, says, boss says you're not getting a pay rise. He goes, all right, Tom, I said sorry. Like, I'd love to see how Matt Busby coped with people. People like to pick and choose which bits of history they remember. I remember Roy Keane kicking off and almost going on strike around about 99, 2000 to break United's wage structure because we wouldn't pay him 50 grand a week.
And then he sat talking every week now.
Yeah,
thinking about how the game's gone mad.
He broke it. Rio Ferdinand, for a long time, the likes of the fanzines used to fucking go after him hard because he missed 8 months because of the drug ban.
Yeah. The
drug test ban, which he didn't turn up for. Missed 8 months. When he came back, wanted a pay rise. And got it. Yeah. Wayne Rooney as a teenager. Now, all of these players, Roy Keane, Rio Ferdinand, Wayne Rooney, all held the clubs around. Wayne Rooney still as a teenager, so not even been here like 18 months, demanded a pay rise.
First time round.
The first time round, not the one where he threatened to leave and go City. But Wayne Rooney, threatened to leave the club. I think we ended up paying him 90 grand a week in like 2006. When you think of how much the game's inflated, that must have been the equivalent of 400, 500, 600 at the moment. That would have been one of the highest paid players in the league at the time. Ridiculous.
I mean, it's such a mad thing to think because obviously, like when you were saying, like Matt Busby was infuriated with spending $1 million on a player. I mean, at least back then, it's like if you're spending that money, you've got to know your stuff. If like you're going to splash out £1 million on a player.
Well,
you can't make a mistake.
For definite 2 players, Dennis Lowe, we spent it was either 240 or 400. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was 240 grand. Was more than 50% of the club's turnover, which is the equivalent now of us spending about £330 million on a player.
On a player, yeah.
Outrageous. Robbo was the same. We was only turning over about 2 million at the time. I think Robbo was 1.1 mil. So it was like 55-60% of our turnover on one player. Outrageous sum of money. Like when you put it into today's terms, that's what the club's earning then. This is what it's earning now. Robbo we'd have essentially paid £300 million for. God. It's mad to think.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine Busby? I mean, like when we paid 80 for Pogba, it was only like 20-30%.
Huntelaar. Is it Huntelaar?
Do you know what? I don't know.
Huntelaar sounds familiar. I mean, with United being linked with Huntelaar, that actually makes...
Jovetic. Was it Jovetic? It's someone where you go, fuck me, we dodged a bullet there, didn't we?
Yeah. Huntelaar did fall off a cliff because he went to Real Madrid and then I think he's been injured since he's at Ajax, or I think he's still at Ajax. Well, yeah, you look at... I mean, like, we'll get back to the managers now. Like, we're looking at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and obviously there's a lot of debate over what we're looking at. The players Ole's bought have played well. I mean, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, of course, and then Daniel James has done a lot better than everyone thought.
All Mourinho started off great, though.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like at least I see... Like, now I see where it needs to be improved. I mean, given the time...
Mate, go back to Mourinho's first season. Look at Pogba, Zlatan, Mkhitaryan, Bayer. 4 gems. We all thought 4 gems. I remember doing videos going, we're due a dud, because these have all been great. And statistically, 50% of transfers are failures. So,
I mean, statistically, 50% of those transfers ended up being, I'd say, Bailey's injury prone.
Yeah, you can't call it a success.
Mkhitaryan's fell off a cliff straight after the Europa League final, and we swapped him for...
Mkhitaryan was our best player. He was the driving force behind 4-0 FC, but his personality didn't fit.
No.
And there's talk that he may or may not have told Mourinho to fuck off in an analysis session. And guess what? He was gone about 6 weeks after that. So
yeah,
I think there's probably some truth to that.
I mean, yeah, and then Ibrahimovic obviously had that bad injury and then left to LA Galaxy. His contract's running out on the 31st of December, which everyone keeps reminding us. I mean, I
think it'd be a bad move to bring him back.
I don't think you bring him back. I think he'll go somewhere else, definitely. I feel like he just goes to another country, tries to win a title there.
Yeah, somewhere he's not won it, like England.
Yeah. He hasn't
imagine he turns up at Liverpool as their little plan B and wins a title with them. I'd throw up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Be great.
Because to be fair, he's played on both sides in some derbies before. Fucking hell.
I mean, no, yeah, Inter. He's been at Inter and Milan and Juventus. I mean, like that's just a trio.
So's Pirlo.
Yeah, but I feel like Pirlo kind of gets away with it because Pirlo gets away with AC Milan fans because AC Milan were the ones who said he's too old and can't do it anymore, so they got rid of him. He didn't make a fuss, and then said, "Oh, he's no."
Yeah, he was at Inter first, wasn't it? Or was it Brescia?
He was at Inter as a youngster, and I think he went Brescia on loan, and then Inter let him go to AC. So he gets away with the Inter fans for that because it's Inter. Every club let him go, like, and then AC were like, he's too old to play the game anymore. He has no
Juventus was like, come here, son.
Yeah,
come win loads of titles.
And then he was Italian Player of the Year.
Unbelievable.
Like 3 years in a row.
One of my favourite non-United players.
Oh, yeah, honestly.
Original Ronaldo as well. Played on both sides for Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Inter and AC. And a legend at all of them.
Yeah.
Unbelievable how you're able to do that. Less so at AC, I think, because he didn't really go well for him at AC.
No.
But that was when they was going through their old past it Brazilian phase, weren't they? They had quite a few of them on the books at the time.
Yeah. Just some great teams. I mean, when you look at those teams and compare it with current United, you'd take some. You'd even take past it Ronaldo.
Mickey needed to be mollycoddled. He really did.
I mean, I think Mkhitaryan would probably do better under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer than he probably would have done under
maybe
Mourinho.
Mourinho went and scouted him. I remember people were saying that we was getting Aubameyang because Mourinho was being seen there. You don't know. You never know who someone's there scouting, do you? And it was obvious it was Mkhitaryan when he arrives a couple of months after that. Wes Schneider. No, it wasn't Wes Schneider.
I mean, look, you look at the Dortmund system must just suit right wingers. Because you look at Mkhitaryan did really well, and he left. Then they bought Ousmane Dembele, he did really well, and then they sold him for 100 million.
Look at Kagawa. Like, I just think German football's a little easier than it is than we think it is. I think we all go, oh, it's actually a pretty good standard. Well, do you know what? They don't generally do that well on the continent, considering how amazing some of them players look. I mean, I knew Sancho was good, but the numbers he's been putting up in Germany is a fucking joke. You look at what Lewandowski's been putting up in Germany for the last 6 years or something.
We were looking at this before, weren't we? It's like 30 goals in like the last. I mean, he's got 11 and 7 so far this season. Oh, that's just mad. It's
ridiculous. Yeah, and you think, well, is Germany more of a fucking farmers' league than we give it credit for? There's some people racking up some numbers all over the fucking place. And there is a difference in the Premier League. The Premier League is so much more physical. The Premier League is almost like the championship version of like European football. Like there's just, and I don't get why this isn't the case elsewhere. But when you chat to players that played here and elsewhere, they go, if your touch ain't perfect in England, someone's going to kick you. He goes, and you almost have a panic, like because it is so physical. He goes, well, it isn't that physical elsewhere. And you go, people are still going to press. But in the Premier League, they'll kick you, and they'll get away with kicking you.
Look at some of the Germans that done well. We were talking about Paddock before because Cam's a Chelsea fan and he likes to remind us all the time of that. And more currently, Gundogan. I think those are the only two. I might be struggling to think of them. Those are the only two standout Germans in my mind who have actually probably done pretty well.
You say Paddock?
Paddock and Gundogan. Because Gundogan works with possession, so he doesn't have to actually get that close. I mean, someone just put in, is Sanchez being sent back to United? We literally just discussed this about...
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
He's injured for 2 to 3 months. He got injured on international duty. And Inter and United are sorting out a way forward, which means...
Iron Robben didn't come from Germany, though, did he, at the time?
He was at Chelsea, Real Madrid, and then he went to Bayern.
But didn't he come from, like, Alkmaar?
He went from
to
PSV.
Chelsea.
PSV.
From PSV it was. Yeah, I knew he came from
PSV, PSV kind of funded Chelsea for a bit. They had Mikhail Kesman at PSV was ridiculous, and then he was useless at Chelsea. But I mean, like, talk about German football, we got Leroy Sané. That's the big one I'm missing, yeah.
But do we know that? Or is he just in a team where fucking me and you could turn up and play in it at the moment? Like, Cleverley and Anderson was dominating English football as a midfield pairing under Fergie. Because everything else around a system sometimes can shield a bad player.
I feel like it helps him, but I do feel like he's a very good player. I feel like the players that you can't really say are exceptional at City were
Aubameyang, okay. It's been a season. Relax.
Were the centre backs and the left backs at City. They seem to get shielded because of the fact that they just don't have to have that much pressure. Now that Fernandinho's been moved back and they have to actually try and defend, you can see that there's a bit of cracks there. I mean, you saw it against Wolves; they couldn't get anywhere near Adama Traore, and he just absolutely punished them for it.
We shouldn't sign Bundesliga players. We mean more of a Zaha and not Sancho. Well, hasn't Zaha done in his record season 4 goals or something?
I mean, Zaha has worked at Crystal Palace because he's just very tricky and he just got fouled, and then you have Milicevic who converts those penalties. That was the Crystal Palace strategy for last season. Was Zaha runs in the box, gets fouled, they score the penalty. Because Milicevic's conversion rate was, I think he missed...
Son came from Germany.
Son? I mean, I was going German nationalities, but yeah, Heung-min Son, I would love Heung-min Son at United.
Mate, I think he's better than Kane.
I think he is. I'd say there's, I don't particularly like Kane, but Heung-min Son, Christian Eriksen on his day.
For what they offer as a team and to a team. Because I think Kane... Sometimes in a way like Ronaldo, but I think Ronaldo, the balance is so much better in your favour having him on the pitch. I think Kane is so selfish that he detracts from a team.
He takes shots whenever he sees them there.
Yeah, and in much the way like Andreas Pereira, I'm not comparing Kane and Andreas Pereira, but much in the same way as the decision-making of the guy, you just go, the fuck? The prime example being if he fucking plays Sterling in the semi-final, England might have got to a World Cup final. Probably would have got to a World Cup final. The decision-making on the guy. And I know you need selfish strikers, but the decision-making of a so-called senior player, and can I just fucking say, the absolute disgrace, the fact that this prick got an MBE. Honestly.
Harry Kane, yeah.
Yeah, honestly. When you look at what... it was Bobby Charlton's birthday the other day. And when you look at what he had with... Munich survivor, World Cup winner, League winner, FA Cup winner, Ballon d'Or winner, left United as the all-time leading scorer, England's all-time leading scorer, United's all-time leading appearances. You think he's done something like that? Now he ended up as a Sir, The fuck has Harry Kane done to be an MBE?
Yeah.
Paul Scholes got, is it 11 titles or 10 titles? I'm not sure what he's got. I think it's 11.
They did well in a World Cup for once. Or well-ish.
Who did they play? Who did they beat? Sweden?
So, I mean, we...
Luca Toni. That might have been it.
Luca Toni.
I think it might have been fucking Luca Toni.
He's ancient, though. I mean, he was a Bayern at that point, wasn't he?
It might have been Luca Toni, you know.
It might, well, yeah. Well, Luca Toni was a good striker. He was a Bayern, I think. And then he scored 36 goals in his last season when he was like 38. Ridiculous player.
It might have been Luca
we
Toni.
look at German managers, though. We got Klopp. And back to what we're doing. Liverpool, next game. I feel like we've been dodging it, but...
I'm going to dodge it. I don't want to talk about this yet.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we're getting it because Firmino from the Bundesliga. I mean, they've got Keita from the Bundesliga. I mean, Keita I'm not really a big fan of. I think he's
I like German football in a lot of senses. I like the fan culture of German culture.
Oh yeah, I love the fan. The 50 plus 1 rule is fantastic. The fact that the fans have to own 51% of a club is fantastic. Leipzig get around it. We're very, very dodgy that they register employees of the club as...
Bayer have done the same thing. Leverkusen have done the same thing. But people like to forget about that because they're a pharmaceutical. No,
oh man, I was on about.
they're a pharmaceutical company as well. You know, it's a company. They're like, we don't want. No, the big protest against Leipzig was we don't want corporations owning football clubs. Okay, you know, with Red Bull and all that. Cool. What Wolfsburg? Play at the Volkswagen Arena.
Is it Salzburg or Leipzig that's not owned by Red Bull anymore, or not technically? I mean, like, I think
they both are.
I think one had to give up because they both got into Europe.
I don't think so.
I wasn't sure if one can stay. I think they could stay as sponsors, but I think they have to give up their ownership of one. I think it might be Leipzig's now like Rasenball Sport.
No, they had to be called Rasenball Sport anyway because they wouldn't allow them to have a corporation name as a thingy.
Rasenball Sport.
Bayer Leverkusen again. Like it was just like don't like the new money coming up. Yeah.
I mean, Kai Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen.
But Wolfsburg, they play at the Volkswagen Arena next to the Volkswagen factory. Big fucking VW on the chest.
I mean, like, it's like...
It's a fucking... it's a corporation-owned football club.
Yeah. I mean, like, they all like, the 50 plus 1 rule works because that's the fans, but then they have 49% of, like, mass ownership by companies. Like, I think, isn't Bayern owned by BMW? I think.
That would ring a bell, yeah.
Yeah. So they're all owned, like, the 49% is just a massive corporation who funds them, but the fact is, at least then, the fans have a good say in it. So, it's interesting to see.
Mane played in Austria.
There's a lot of good players come from Austria. Like, I think they were showing the Salzburg link when Liverpool were playing Salzburg. They had Keita, Mane, who both played for it. I mean, it was very interesting. Like, it's just a
it's just a different way of doing it. Like, not every team's ever going to be Real Madrid, and not every team's going to get fucking oil money poured into them like Chelsea, PSG, and City have. Like, there's different ways to cut it. You got to run.
Yeah.
Righty. Unfortunately, we're going to wrap it up really quick because, like I said, Casey's got to go and finger some birds. But thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about the run that we're going to have.
Are you excited for this weekend?
Just get drunk and watch it. I can't really care.
I'll leave it on. Iqbal says, do you think we'll sign anyone in January? I do.
Yeah.
But I'm a fucking dreamer. I don't want to have it any other way. Thank you guys for watching. See you in a bizzle.